Welcome to DF Joinery's YouTube channel. Please like and comment, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Let's see if we can learn something today. As I always say, you never stop learning in joinery. So this is a video of a ash cut string staircase being made. Try and get it done as pretty much start to finish. What we're doing now is marking what we call the margin line. That is the margin from the underside of the stairs basically, and we use that line for marking the rise and the going, which we'll see us now. We use a roofing square for this. Some people make MDF templates up and bits like that, but we just use a roofing square and we put little brass bobbins on the end, which you'll see in a minute. Just saves us doing it, like making new templates every single time. I haven't done a video here showing how we got the rise and the going, and a video about talking through how we would go to a house and measure overall rise, overall going, and work out a staircase. If that is something you would like me to do, I'm more than happy to do that. Please drop a comment, and then we can look at doing that later if that is something that people want to see. So as you can see here, we've just marked on there the rise and the going. Just to explain, the rise is the piece your toes would hit, and the going, otherwise known as the tread, is the bit you tread on. So we've just worked it out. We're just putting that on the margin line, checking it all works. We're happy with it. And these are the little stair bobbins I've just put on to tighten it all up. I always do a little test mark, make sure I can get all the treads on and everything lays out properly on the string before I do a proper draw out. So what I'm doing now is just a little test. So if it is wrong, I've not got to redraw everything and the lines don't get confusing. It's just making sure where I've started is fine for what I need at the top, and by the time I get to the bottom of all the treads, I've still got enough timber there. It's just something I prefer doing because I have been caught out in the past being overconfident and had to redo it. Going to the margin, we generally do a 50mm margin, but on this staircase, because it's so wide, we've actually got 32mm treads. We've actually increased the size of the margin, so I'm pretty sure on this one we did a 70mm margin on here just to allow for the thicker tread. So as you can see, I'm now marking these properly. We went back, I'd done the test, went through it all, realised I had enough, everything was working. So I'm just going back through, marking everything properly, and I will then number it all up. So even though this is a cut string, we have a wall string as well. And what we're doing here is the actual wall string. So you've just seen me mark the wall string out, and I'm now going to set up the router and start routing everything out. We use a dovetail cutter when we do this. Some people use a straight flute, but we actually use a dovetail cutter. We find it's a lot better. You get a much tighter fit because it's slightly undercut. It just goes up a lot better, and you can wedge them up a lot neater and it stays a lot tighter. So that is the reasons we do that. Slightly downside of using that on a hardwood like ash, with a dovetail you have to do it in one hit, and it's hard work. So, and also because we're using a dovetail cutter, there is an offset. So we have a bush guide on the underside of the router, which you saw me attaching a minute ago. So we have these pieces of timber are like the offset for that basically. And depending on what size, how deep you go, what size cutter you use, it would always be a different offset. But for us here, it's 7.5mm. So as you can see, we're routering out. After I've done the first two, I always double check the rise and the going, make sure it is right. And every so often when I'm going down there, I will check them as well, just to make sure nothing's moved, it's all good, it's all working properly. Because this is a horrible, dusty, messy process, we're never going to eliminate it, but we try and keep it down as much as possible. Hence we've got the hoover there sucking out all the crap as we go. We have tried it by putting a hoover attachment onto the router, but we just found it was so heavy, awkward, it was actually getting quite dangerous to use. So we don't do that anymore. So now we've routed out the whole string. Obviously we're not showing you the whole process because this would be like a 2-week long video. So we are cutting through it. So we might make our cut strings slightly different to everyone else. I'm not sure. But we use what we call a carriage and then carriage blocks. So what you can see me at the moment is I'm marking out the carriage blocks, and you'll see it later, but these will basically sit on top of the carriage. I have done it the other way where you get a big wide lump of timber, you draw on there, you cut them all out. Not a huge fan. It's very time consuming. I don't think it's as good in my own personal opinion, but we all do things differently. With the carriage, nice 150mm carriage underneath there. Doing these, you can mitre them, as you will see later on. For me, it's just a better way of doing it. So these are the carriage blocks. We are now bandsawing them out nice and close to the line. Do this to all of them. I only want to leave about 1 mil maximum, and then they will go over to the spindle. So after the bandsaw onto the spindle, just got the bearing cutter in there, basically flushing them all off to the template. So that will be the true rise and going. And once we've done that, we put a rebate into it so we can then form our mitre. So we do basically a relief rebate and then set up for the mitre, which you can see us doing now. The other reason we like doing it this way, instead of pushing the mitre all the way across like some people do, is it actually gives you something for the riser to sit to. So it just makes life a lot easier and works better for us. This extra bit of timber is so we are running off the tread. So as we're going to a mitre, it's going to go to such a fine point. It's just an easier way for us to do it. And now we are just screwing all these carriage blocks that we've made onto the carriage. So as we do it, glue them, screw them, plenty of glue, check it on every single one, make sure it's all right. That's what you can see me doing with the square. And that is our string and carriage done in a minute. Now, this staircase at the bottom 2 treads on the cut string side has 2 large, everyone calls them something different. D steps, bullnose steps, some people call them curl tails, whatever you want to call them really. They are, so the bottom one is very large, as you'll see in a minute, and then the second one's slightly smaller. So I'm just rodding this all out now. It makes it a lot easier later on the build. Always when we do these, I always show the riser, the nose in, how it works into the newel, just double checking a few things. Now these are the treads, as I said earlier, 32mm thick, and everyone does cut strings differently again, but on the treads, we actually show the end grain on our treads. We do it all as one. I know a lot of people will just do the bullnose, well, the nosing on the front, and then they mitre a new bit on just so you don't see the end grain. We actually keep the end grain. We like seeing it. I'm pretty sure these days most people do it that way because it used to be done back in the day and they don't know any better. But the real reason they used to do that back in the day is because the spindles actually used to go down through the tread and they were dovetailed in to lock it in, which is why they needed that piece removable so they could put the spindles in, which were dovetailed in, and then they would knock a nose in afterwards. Now, I could be wrong, but not many people, if any, actually mitre their spindles on it. Well, dovetail their spindles into the bottom tread anymore. So, what is the point of doing it? Like, once you see the end grain, it's all sanded and stuff, it actually looks really nice. None of my customers have ever moaned about it and actually really like seeing it. Where if you actually mitre a bit on, you've still got a chance of that shrinking back and open up on the mitres. So this is the reason we do it this way. No right or wrong, it's whatever you like doing, basically. But we also don't just butt our treads and risers together. We actually tongue our treads into our risers. It's a bit more work, a bit more faff and a bit more hassle, but it's far better in the long run. It just gives you it eliminates all that squeaking on staircases. Since we've started moving to this, we've had no issues. You know, we don't get the shrinkage on it. If it does shrink, you don't see it because it's tongued in. It just locks it all together so much better, more glue. Yes, and we just don't get the squeaking like we used to with stuff. So this is what we're doing now. We're just rebating the tongue in there. I have done it both ways, where I leave the nosing on, do the rebate first, or form the tongue first, and then remove it through the saw. I just actually find this way a little bit easier. Pre-cut it out and then just put this packing piece on for the tread to run on and form the tongue. We just found it a little bit more precise and easier in the long run. And we also like to house our treads over our carriage blocks. Pretty sure most people probably do this, to be honest. It's nothing new. So we're just marking out at the moment and starting to house out so they sit over the treads. So now it's just a sand of all the treads before they go together. So at the moment we're just doing all the nosings, starting off on a 120, so not too bad as it is, working our way down to a 180 finish. Again, spending a lot of time making sure that end grain's nice, because once it's all sanded properly, it just looks really good. As always, it's much easier to sand stuff before you put something together. So you can see the end grain there. I know some people won't like it, and I get it's a personal preference thing, so it's not a problem. But here we are, just marking all the holes for drilling down through the stairs, which sometimes we do it where the spindle is. But these are metal spindles here, which you'll see at the end. So we're just pelleting it all, pellet the riser. Again, much easier to do it all now before it goes together. Do all the back of the risers, makes it so much easier as well. The more setup you can do beforehand, the quicker and easier it makes the whole thing. So now you can see why we didn't sand all the faces beforehand, that we wanted to mark everything. And we also, as you've just seen there, Craig or pocket drill, however you want to call it, our risers into our treads. So this is the one we've done for the cutout of the top tread, or second one down. It's not the landing nosing, it's the one down. So actually, that's a complete lie. I do apologise. This is tread number 3, which you didn't get. That's what the cutout's for. The cutout is for the newel. Again, you'll see that later when it all goes together. So we obviously don't sand the whole of the underside of the tread, it's just doing that front edge where the nosings and that are, where they'll be seen. I feel ash is a very underrated timber. I don't know why, but a lot of people don't seem to like it, or it seems to be that way down here. But for me, it's a wonderful timber. I absolutely love it. Made a few staircases it these days, and yeah, when see a cheap alternative to oak. Some people call it the poor man's oak, but I don't know why. I think it looks better than oak. I like all the different contrasting colours you get from the darks and the lights and just all the little bits and pieces. Some of you might be looking at the riser here, and you can see I've got that scallop out at the top of the groove. That is where it sits over on the carriage blocks, basically. So that's where the carriage blocks are constructed. That's just a relief there so it sits down properly. Because either I have to do it on the back of the riser or chop out the carriages themselves. It's just much easier to do it to the back of the riser. And now starting to assemble. So because the way we do it, we tug everything into each other, we have to work from the top down. Because obviously we started the other way, we couldn't get very far because we can't. So we start from the top down, plenty of glue, make sure the risers and treads all down properly, go down to the underside and glue it in, glue and screw the tread into the riser, and we just work our way down. Need just have the clamp there just to put a bit of tension on it, make sure it all pulls up. Miters look good, everything's pulled down really nicely. So you can see on there the glue coming out, so it shows the miters are up nice and tight. Let's show it from a different angle. And see, you can see there where the riser is sitting slightly lower on the carriage, is where the carriage meets the carriage blocks, and that is the whole point of that relief at the back that you saw a few minutes ago. Only thing is when you do it this way and you screw it all up first, it just makes you make sure you're routed out properly. Shouldn't be a problem because we're all joiners these days, but if it's out, you've got an issue. You've got a little bit of tolerance, obviously. It will flex and move a bit, but you do need to make sure you're quite precise with it. So we're now cutting the wedges because we've actually already put the string on. it was filmed, but obviously again, we're not showing you every single part of it. We actually put the string on, the wall string on when it was laying on how you saw it. Found it a lot easier to sit it like that. Put a couple of clamps on it, 2 or 3 people. We could just pick it up and roll it over for you, how you'll see it in a minute. And then everything's knocked up tight, and just do wedges. We always do one test wedge, which we've already done, and that's before we cut all the rest of them. When we know one's gone in nice and tight, we then just cut them all, and then we'll work our way through. Always like to lay them in there first. As you can see here, I've misplaced a few. It's just making sure whilst we're gluing up, but they're all there, so I know. I just find it a lot easier to work that way. It's just how I've always been taught. And we always start with the risers first, just to make sure it's pulling itself up as we go. And some of you will be asking why I haven't done the very first tread. That will make a lot more sense later on, but as I said when I was drawing out the rod, this has got 2 bullnose steps at the bottom, so that's not been wedged yet into the bullnoses are all on and fitted up, just so I've got that little bit of flexibility if needed. It's a bit of OCD of mine. I always might like to make sure the angled part of the wedge is on the angled part of the housing, and the 90-degree bit is on the 90-degree bit. Makes no difference whatsoever, but it's just, we've all got our little quirks. All the risers are done the test one for the treads, and now working my way up doing all the treads. Also, the way we do it now, a lot of people get this far and they've got to go back through and school the risers and stuff, where it's all done. Don't have to do any of that now. This is a wide staircase. I actually think this staircase was 1200 wide. So 32mm treads, big 1200 wide staircase. It's a big lump of a staircase. It was 14 rises as well. So especially with the time you put the steps at the bottom, it's a big heavy lump, really big lump. So again, we've left that wedge out on the bottom one, which we will put in later on, so that'll get knocked up nice and tight a bit later on. Now we're just working on this is tread 2, which is the smaller of the 2 bullnose D steps, however you want to call them. Just putting the nosing on, so we've put that MDF template on the underside. Happy to put screws and stuff on the underside because it's never seen. And then yeah, we did that to both. Get to that stage, and now these are the big riser blocks that go to the underside of them. I like doing them this way, so it's nice, big, solid. I know some people just bend a bit of ply round or something like that, but I actually prefer to do a real big, heavy lump. And also it will make more sense when we get there, but the way we do the risers as well. Again, I know some people just use veneer, but we like to do this the old traditional way, where we have a solid riser, which is 18mm thick. We will then house out all the way down to 3mm, and then we put a mitre on one end and we steam it and pull it around these big riser blocks with glue and wedge it to pull tension in it, which you'll see us do later on. Some of you say it's not needed doing this way, which is absolutely fine. We all do things different. Or why don't you get a CNC machine? We like to class ourselves as a traditional joinery, and just in my opinion, I've said it many times before, I don't believe you can be a traditional joinery with a CNC machine there, and we can do it by hand, so why not? Got the old camera angle here a little bit wrong, but you'll be able to see what we're doing. We're just screwing the template onto these blocks to go over to the spindle and then to race them off nice and flush, which I'm sure you'll see in a minute. So we've got to do it this way first, just to the size of them. If I could have done it at the top, I don't. The shaft's not long enough, basically, for us to start at the top and work our way down. So we've had to do this way around, so we can do it, and then we'll flip it over in a little bit. I'm sure when some people are watching this, they'll have questions, and some people will be thinking, why am I not telling you every single step or information about it? It's hard to know how much information you want to know, and unless we actually give you a really long video speaking as we're doing it, it's just hard. We're trying to keep you interested to an extent where I feel some of you would probably get a little bit bored if we were filming this for 2 weeks, giving you a 2-week long video. But again, if you ever want any information or want me to go into more detail about something, please leave a comment down there. More than happy to do that. And also, we're not YouTubers, we are a working functional joinery, so we're just trying to do this as well as make the stuff, so which is why we don't always get it right. I've had a few DMs about it, asking for more information and bits and pieces, so we're trying our best, but we are actually a joinery first and making these videos second, so but we try our best. We always try to improve them. But what we're doing now is marking this out, because as I said to you before, we actually will use a solid piece of ash on this, but we will then reduce it in certain sections, which you'll see in a minute. We're marking out this block now so we can have the mitre on one part of it and another housing on the next, and it'll make more sense in a minute where we just put the mitered bit of the riser in, which is what we're actually cutting that mitre on the riser now. That hooks in and we put it tight. The idea of the mitre is it holds itself in, so we can then put tension into the ash and bend it around, steaming it as we do it. But again, you'll see this in a minute. It's an old school traditional way. I'm sure some people still do it this way, 100%. I know some people still do it this way, but I also know a lot of people think it's a complete waste of time and no need, which is absolutely fine. We all do things our own way. We all run our businesses how we want to. And we always leave these little bits in. Reason being is, done it before where we haven't done that, and because we've taken out quite a lump, it sags, which then causes issues later on, or a saw can come through the face of it, or it gets weaker because it's not a consistent. And then also we like to go back through with a router just to get a consistent depth, so there's no variation. Again, if you did it all on a saw, you could get different thicknesses all the way through, but we find doing it this way, it will give us a consistent 3 mil afterwards with no little nooks or nicks in there which are risk of splitting later on, or no weak areas where it could split later on when we're steaming and bending and pulling a lot of tension into the ash itself. Again, a bit more faff, but it's just how we work, I'm afraid. You just got to use a chisel just to sort out this last 90-degree bit, and also we'll do the other end as well. Just sort of undercut the mitre, make sure that's all removed. Nothing in there could cause us problems later on. And now we're steaming. So the bit of 45 on here is now hooked into the 45 bit on the big stair block. And we use a wallpaper stripper basically. Just find it so much easier to do that. We clamp the big riser block onto the bench, and two of you on it, one of you bending it round, the other one holding the steamer on. Say, because it's only 3mm thick there, it doesn't take long for the steamer to penetrate itself all the way through. Just take your time, do it slowly, and yeah, be surprised how well it works. For a long time, used to do it with a kettle and a rag, and couldn't work out why I was having loads of problems with it. And just one day we thought we'd give this a go, and it was just an absolute game changer once we moved over to one of these. Other reason we like doing it this way is staircases get used, don't they? They get hit. So where it being a 3mm veneer now, basically, it can take a bit of a bashing, where if it's only a 0.9 veneer, it's just going to go through a mark straight away. So once these are done, we always leave them now. We'll put this clamp on there, just let it cool, set itself in place a little bit, get a bit of memory. And then we actually do that again afterwards, and then glue it and then fix it all back. But again, clamp it until the glue goes off. And we always use the rod when we fit here now to mark out the newel. So it's all drawn on there. Just got to do is transfer the measurements from the rod over to the newel, and that way you know it's right. Because as we've said before in previous videos, if your rod is right, or your staircase will be right basically. So that's what you work all your problems and stuff out on the rod first. Always have a test piece of thread with you just to make sure it all fits nicely. Always undercut the nose in, we do, just so again it always goes up nicely. If any dust gets in there or crap, it's not a problem because it's all undercut. It'll just pull itself up nice and tight. It's so much easier doing it this way, pre-fitting it all first, double checking everything works, and when you actually do go over to the staircase, in theory it should just slide on without too many problems, if any. So this is now actually, you can see the big gaps up there. I'm now taking this apart. I've actually all put this on, pre-fitted it all, made sure everything is right, and now I'm literally stripping it out, ready to start gluing it all up, put it all back on and glue it all basically. always do a test fit first, just in case there is any problems. So just gluing this area here, which is where that big riser block is going to sit, and we've already put holes in the bottom of that riser block so we can screw from the underside into this tread, so it all goes up nice. So it does go up. Sometimes it's easier to have just a clamp on there holding things. Just makes life that little bit easier. So screw the riser into the tread, screw from the underside of the riser block into the underside of the tread, and move to the next one. This is tread number 1, the large bullnose. Just test fitting it first, just in case I've got to make any small adjustments or anything like that. So then this tread will be screwed into the underside of that riser block. So now we're happy with it, take it back out, glue everything, and we'll just put it back in again. All I'm doing here right now is just doing a clearance hole for the screws. So it'd be number 5 screws, so a 5mm clearance hole, just so the screws pull it together instead of, holding it apart slightly. Don't know if you guys are the same, but we always find as soon as you put glue on something, it never seems to fit as well as it did beforehand. It's just one of those things. It happens quite regularly, but we got it there in the end and got it sitting nice, so we can't complain. Same with this, just give it a little test fit, make sure we're happy. All fits nicely, take it apart. Again, plenty of glue and lots of glue on it, and then we're screw from the underside of the riser block and then into the tread, and the same with the risers itself. Now just knock the wedges in at the bottom, make sure it all pulls up nice and tight. And we didn't show us doing this, but that is a carriage, an extra carriage that we put in at the bottom just to give it strength because it's such a wide staircase. And this is it fitted. Ash cut string staircase with a large bullnose at the bottom and a bullnose as number 2. Really happy with it, really happy with how it turned out, and the customer was over the moon with it. And once it was all done and fitted, and I think the metal like spindles really did finish it off, looked really good. If anyone has any questions, please drop a comment. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much.